Greetings dancers! In this video we're going to dive into your very first musicality training, and that is how to find and stay on the beat. This might be the #1 essential skill for all dancers, especially for street dancers. For in street dance, this was one of our first rules that we learned and one of our 10 commandments as dancers to have. If we weren't on the beat, our mentors, what we call OGs, would always punish us or talk trash or whip us back into shape to make sure that we stay on the beat. Now it isn't always easy, especially if we're learning new dance styles. This may become a very difficult endeavor and may bring you down and make you feel like you're not meant to be a dancer. But if I was able to do it, it took me a very long time to learn how to dance on beat. But I'm sure that you can too. Now, in order to stay on the beat, we must learn first how to find the beat. Now, before we go any deeper, let me give you a little disclaimer. I am not a music theorist specialist by any means. I did not go to a college and study music theory at all. I am a simple, humble street dancer, and everything you're going to learn is from a street dancer's perspective. So the terms I use are not going to be your official terms. They're just what street dancers have used for the longest times. Now that that's out of the way, let's go and dive back in. So, how do we find the beat? Well, music is very complex and there are genres for every different type of culture. There's infinite amount of genres and styles and speeds of beats. So, how you find it is going to be different. It's going to be a different experience depending on the music. But I'm going to share with you a universal principle that works about 99% of the time in finding the beat of a song. And what we call this in street dance is finding the bass beat, also known as the clap, also known as the core beat. This is the beat that underlies the musical structure. It is what I consider to be the skeleton of a song. It is the bare bones. It is what holds it together and keeps the rhythm going. And what we want to look for when listening to a song is to look for the drum pattern of a song. Most music is consisted of drums, for drums are one of our very first tribal instruments. So it makes sense that a lot of our music is based off of percussion. Well, drums are usually the inherent underlying beat for most music that we dance to, especially in these styles. So pay attention to the drum pattern, and it is within the drum pattern that you will find the core beat. Now, most drum patterns are consisted a bit of some little bass beats and maybe a clap and a high note or a hi-hat. You know, and maybe there's some different patterns. But we want to find the simplest pattern. We want to go to the very core of it. What is the one heartbeat rhythm of a song that keeps it all connected? And that right there is what we want to use as our internal guidance system. It is what is our shining light, our muse to follow and to keep us in alignment with the music and on beat. But when we first hear a song, we can often be overwhelmed by hearing all the sounds and all the layers and all the cool noises, right? But in order to find that beat, you have to learn to ignore all the sounds. This is the skill of omission, right? This is the ability to ignore other sounds and just hone in on that one essential sound that you're looking for. And like I said, the core beat that we're looking for is essentially the skeleton of a song. When you look at a producer make music, you often notice that they will start with the drum pattern. We often see this in hip-hop music, funk music, R&B, pop music, rock even. Generally speaking, it is the drummers or the beat pattern that you start to create your music from, and then from there you layer on everything else. And see, the core beat is really important for those of us learning the popping and pop lock illusion styles, because popping dance style was born out of funk music, and funk music has a very coherent clap. It is very significant, it's very visible, very apparent, the sound, right? And it was this sound, you know, and that back then, the 70s funk music had an electric sound coming out too. Electronica was first starting to creep in from funk music, and of course a mixture from live band music. And it was that fusion that started to be birthed, that funk classic boom and clap, and poppers would hit that sound and they would pop to it and move to it. And that was our guidance system for this dance. And that is a guidance system for all of our street dance styles that you will see, and for most dance styles in our modern day and age. So now let's do an exercise, and I'm going to share with you a few examples, a few beats that we can kind of go over, and I'll give you an example of how I find that beat. Alright, so what we're listening to here is one of our common popping beats that we have in the popping genre of music. Let's take a listen, because there's a lot going on, but I'll show you how I'm actually listening to it. Okay, first we're hearing these other layers, right? Of dum, 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 dum. But I want you to ignore that, okay? Let's just first find the bass beat, okay? So we hear boom, cat, boom, cat, 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 boom, cat, boom, cat, boom, cat, right? So that's our drum beat. Cat, boom, boom, cat, boom, cat, boom, boom, cat, boom, cat, boom, cat, boom, cat. But let's even simplify that a little further and take it just to the essence of it, which would be the clap. Clap, 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 clap. That's our bass beat. That's our core beat. It is the clap. Usually it's the clap in popping music, or it's the boom. The boom and then the clap are the two things that we usually alternate between. Boom, clap, boom, clap, boom, clap, boom, clap, boom, clap, boom. This is the basic beat. Boom, clap, boom, clap, boom, clap, boom, clap. And notice how I'm using my hands, right? So this is a technique you're going to use to find music. First is using the drumstick technique. Just the hands. Clap, back to the simple beat. Clap, 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 clap. So that's how I would find that beat for this kind of song. But now let's try a more complex beat. Let's say a glitch hop song like this one. There's a lot going on, right? How can we start to find the basic drum pattern of this one? Well, we first gotta ignore all the fancy sounds. What is the basic rhythm that it follows? So you just find one drum pattern and try to repeat it in a rhythmic way, and usually you'll line up with the other drum patterns. Clap, 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 clap. There we have it. Clap, 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 clap. Now, to go a little further, we would complexify it a bit more, so we can get into clap, dum, 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 clap, dum, clap, dum, 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 clap, dum, clap, dum, dum, clap, dum, clap, dum, 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 clap. Now we have a rhythm we can follow. Dum, clap, dum, 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 clap, dum, clap. Clap, dum, 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 clap. Or if I want to keep it simple, clap, 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 right? If I wasn't a popper, maybe clap, 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 clap. I'm using that bass beat as my guidance system to follow through the music. And of course, you can use your hands to first find the beat. You don't want to try to dance your way into it first. Usually the hands are a great way to use as a measure to finding the beat of the song. So sometimes I would just close my eyes and just be like, and so that's a technique you can use to help you find the bass beat with any song, simple or complex. Alright fellow dancers, now that you have the techniques to find the beat, I now have a challenge for you after watching this video. Step number 1. Choose 2 to 3 songs of different genres for you to study and find the bass beat to. Maybe choose a simple one, a mediumly complex one, and then a very trippy complex one. And try your best to see if you can find the basic drum pattern of those songs. You don't have to dance to these songs yet. I first want to invite you to just find the bass beat with you can use the drumstick technique, where you're using your hands like drumsticks, and you can use that as your way to find your way into the beat first. Then we get to step 2. Now I challenge you to actually dance to the song, but I want you to dance only to the bass core beat. Do your best to ignore all the fancy sounds and try to simplify your dance to follow the most basic rhythm. This could be the clap or the other bass beat, but try to ignore all the other fancy sounds too. Then challenge number 3 is to choose a more complex sound and do your best to start with dancing to the bass beat, but then try your best to accentuate the other drum patterns, not the other layers of the song that are like the flutes or the synths or the bass wobbles. None of that stuff if you're into that electronic music. I just want you to try to accentuate the drum pattern a little bit more. So for example, let's say the beat's like dum, clap, dum, 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 clap, dum, clap, dum, 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 clap. Just dancing to the simplest version, the core beat only would be dum, clap, 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 right? I'll only dance to that, ignoring everything else. But if I want to hit the other drum patterns, dum, clap, dum, 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 clap, dum, clap, dum, 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 clap, dum, clap, dum, 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 clap, dum, dum, clap, dum, 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 clap. Then I invite you to do that in this 3rd challenge here. And so that, my friends, is your first 3 challenges for your musicality training. Oh, P.S. There might be a challenge that might come up that I must address. As you practice dancing to the beat, you may find that you might start on the beat, but later discover as you're dancing that you've lost it. Now this often happens with beginners who haven't found their basic tempo and rhythm yet in their dance. Now, often what's happening here is that you're usually getting too excited and oftentimes dancing past the beat. We often rush the beat, and you want to avoid that, especially in high pressure situations such as performing or dance battling or ciphering or dancing in front of others. This can often be an issue for our energy to just get too riled up, and we get too stoked and too hyped up, and we start to lose the beat. So if that happens, my number 1 tip for you is to slow down. Take a deep breath and recollect yourself and find that beat again, okay? And just keep it simple. You don't need to impress anyone, you don't need to slay it, you don't need to kill it. All you need to do is just find that bass beat and stick with it. And discipline your mind, discipline your body to stay on the pattern. Don't lose it. Try to stick with it. That might be the biggest challenge for this one if you're new to this type of training. So just wanted to add that in there before I send you off. All right, peace, happy dance training, and I wish you the best of luck.